Hey guys, this is Pawan. Welcome to Technical Knowledge Family. In this video, we'll try to learn top 15 commands which are frequently used in Unix. The top usable 15 command in Unix. Now, what is the first command that we'll be running? We'll be running ls command first. Now, we'll be doing practical to all of the command on the putty itself. First, we'll try to understand the command here and then we'll try to run the commands practically on the putty itself. The first command is ls command. Why we use the ls command? Ls command is to list all the files. Okay, but the ls command is best used with its options. Now, what are the options available with the ls command? The first option that we have is -l. Why we use the -l option? To see the long listing format of the file. When the file was created, what was the creation time of the file, what are the permissions available, what are the permissions given to that file. So if we want to see a long listing of that file, then we have to use -l option. Now the second option that we have is -r option. Why we use the -r option? To see the files which are created in a reverse order. So let's suppose that if I have created a file just now, so the file which was created the latest, okay, you can see that file at the bottom, at the last only. So to see the listing of the file in the reverse order. Now, what is the third option that we have? We have -t option to see the creation time of the file, when the file was created, right? And another options that we have is -h and -a. -h option is used if you want to see the size of the file in MBs or GBs, right? And -a option if you also want to see the hidden files. So these are the options available with ls command. There are a couple of more options also available, but these are the frequently used options that we can use with the ls command. Now let's go to the putty and let's try to run this command. So if I run the ls command without the options, you will be seeing files in this format. They are not in long listing format, right? But if I give ls-lrt, so you will be able to see files in the long listing format where the permission of the file is given, read, write and execute, whatever the permission is given to the file, then the size of the file, then when the file was created, the creation time and the name of the file. Okay, so the frequent option that we use is ls-lrt. Now again, we have discussed about two more options, that is -h and -a. -h is to see the size of the file in GBs and MBs. Right now you are seeing these numbers, right? These are nothing but the size of the file. And if I give -a also, so in that way you will be seeing the hidden file as well. Hidden files are those files whose extension starts with dot, right? So if I press enter, you can see the size of the file is given in the KB and you can see the file which is starting with dot. These are the hidden files that you can see. So this is your first option, that is ls-lrt, and you can also use the other two option -a and -h. Now in the ls command, there is also one of the use case that you can use the ls command. If you want to search a file with a particular pattern, then you can use the ls command, and in this case we can use a wildcard operator. Star is one of the wildcard operator that we can use to search a file with a particular pattern. So what will be the command? The command will be ls-lrt, and you will be giving the star, and then I have a criteria that my file name should contain employee, and then again I will give a star. Now this star means that it can contain any character after the employee, right? Now if I press enter, it will give me all the files which contains the employee, right? Now this is also one of the use case of ls command. If you want to search a file with a particular pattern, then you can use star wildcard operator. Now what is the next command that we need to run? The next command is that you can create your directory. How to create a directory in Unix? Simply we can create a directory in Unix with the help of mkdir command. Okay, you just type mkdir and the name of the directory. Now let's suppose I want to create a directory with the name of database. So let me give name as database, right? So that directory has been created. If I do a long listing format of the files, I can see a directory has been created called database. Now how do I know it is a file or a directory? At the left side you can see, along with the permission, you have a word given called D. at the initial. D means directory, that means it's a directory. And if that first alphabet is given as dash, that means it's not a directory, it's a file, and the rest of the words belongs to the permission of the file. We'll discuss permission of the file separately. This is how you can create a directory of the file. Now how to remove a directory? So the third command that we need to study is rmdir. Now rmdir is for removing the directory. Okay, so let's run that rmdir. Just now we have created a directory called database. Now if you want to remove the directory, we can simply type rmdir and we can double click on the name and just right click. That name will be pasted and press enter. That directory will be removed, right? Now if we do a listing with ls-lrt, we can see that a database directory have removed. So this is how you can remove a directory with the help of rmdir. All right. Now what is the next command that we need to see? How you can create a file. Okay, this is the fourth command that we need to run to create a file in Unix. What you can do is you can simply type cat, that is cat command, and you can press a redirection symbol, or you can also call it as greater than symbol, and just simply give the name of the file. Now let me give name of the file as oracle.txt. All right, and press enter. Now whatever content that you need to enter inside the file, so here you can type the content or you can just copy paste the content over here. So this is the data, or this is the number of rows that I want to copy and paste in my Unix system, right? So I have just simply copied the data from the notepad file, and here you can press either shift insert key, or either you can just do a right click from your mouse. If you do a right click of your mouse, all the data that you have copied will be pasted over here. Now press an enter key and press Ctrl C. Once you do a Ctrl C, okay, you will be coming out of that file. Now if you take a listing of the file, that is ls-lrt, you can see that oracle.txt is given over here. Now if you want to see the content of the file, which data is available in the file itself, so what you can do is you can just simply type cat. Now this time you don't have to give the greater than symbol. If you give a greater than symbol along with the cat command, a new file will be created, right? Now but if you want to see the content of the file, just give the name of the file and you can see the content of the file in your terminal itself. All right. So cat command is used to create a file with the greater than symbol, and if you want to see the content of the file, just simply don't give the greater than symbol, cat space and a file name. You will be able to see the content of the file. Now if you also want to learn awk command, cut command, grab command, scd command, so all the videos related to these commands, I have given the link in the description box. You can check those videos, and I have also given the link in the I button. All right. Now what is the next command that we need to see? Again, if you want to create a file, there is one more way to create a file with the help of VI editor. All right. Now how do I create a file with the help of VI editor? You just simply type VI space and the name of the file. Let's suppose that I want to create a file called oracle_1.txt. When you press enter, you will be coming inside the VI editor, right? Now again, same thing, we can copy the entire data, the entire row what we have, and we can simply paste over here. Just press the right click of your mouse and the data will be pasted over here. Now if you want to save the file and if you want to quit the file, then what we need to do is we need to just press escape key and press :WQ. :WQ is for save and quit, and if you press enter, you will be coming out of the file, right? This is how you can also create a file in Unix. Now if I take a listing from ls-lrt, you can see there is one more file created which is oracle_1.txt. Now if I want to see the content of the file, then just press cat space and the file name itself, and you will be able to see the content of the file. All right. So there are two ways to create a file, one with the cat command and the other one is with the VI editor. All right. Now VI editor itself is a very bigger topic. Now if you want to learn the VI editor, I have given the link in the description box, and I've also given the link in the I button. You can check that video for the VI editor and you can learn all the command related to VI editor. Alright. Now what is the next command that we need to learn is, or how do you know in which directory I am? Right. Now the next command that we need to understand is pwd command. Pwd command means present working directory. So if I type pwd and if I press enter, it will show you that under which directory you are. So currently I am under home_/_ubuntu directory. So my current directory is Ubuntu, right? So this is how you can get to know that this is my present working directory. Now if I want to traverse between the directories, so how do you traverse between the directories? You can traverse between the directory, or you can change the directory with the help of cd command. Cd is for change directory. All right. Now what else you need to understand if you are using the cd command? Single dot means you are in a current directory, and double dot means you are going into the parent directory. Okay, one directory back you are going. This is the meaning of double dot, right? Now currently let's suppose that I am into my directory. Now I want to traverse one directory back. Now I can simply press cd space dot dot. So I will be into the downloads directory. All right. And if I again press cd space dot dot, then I'll be coming into this particular Ubuntu directory. All right. And if I directly want to go to this particular my directory, then what I can do is I can just simply press cd, give the complete absolute path and press enter. So I'll be coming into the my directory. Now I want to come back two directories, right? So what I can do is I can just press cd dot dot slash dot dot, and I came into the Ubuntu 1 directory. All right. So this is how you can traverse between the directories with the help of cd command. Now what is the next command that you need to understand? The next command is cp command. All right. Cp command is to copy the data from one file to the other file. Okay. So let us run this cp command. Now let's suppose that I have a file called newfile.txt which is available in my directory, and I want to copy the data into a new file called myfile.txt. All right. So simply you can just paste that command. So what is the command? Cp newfile.txt and myfile.txt. All right. And press enter. So whatever data that you have into the newfile.txt, that will be copied into myfile.txt. If I take a listing of the files, then yes, I have that myfile.txt. If myfile.txt file is not available, then Unix system will be creating that file and it will be copying that data into this particular myfile.txt. All right. This is how you can copy the data. Now let's suppose that I have a file called newfile.txt and I want to copy the data into some other directory. Then this will be the command. So what is the command? Cp newfile.txt, the file which I want to copy, space, I need to give the directory name and slash the file name in which I want to copy the data, right? Now simply press enter. That file is created inside the downloads directory. Now if I go inside the downloads directory and if I take a listing, then I can see there is a file created called testing.txt, right? Now if I want to create a file called newfile.txt inside this directory, and if I don't give the file name, a new file will be created over here. So if I run this command, what is the command? Cp newfile.txt, and I'm just giving the directory name. So inside the downloads directory, a new file will be created with the name called newfile.txt, because this time I'm not giving the name of the file. If I press enter, a new file will be created inside the downloads directory. If we go to download directory and if I do a listing of the file, a file has been created with the name of newfile.txt. Now what is the next command that we need to run? We need to run this command. What is the command? Cp, and then I have given the absolute path, and there is a file which is available in the exe directory, right? And the file name is salary.txt. I want to copy that salary.txt file into the current directory. So simply I have given the absolute path and a file name, and after that I have given a space and a dot. Dot means current directory. So it will copy that salary.txt file in the current directory itself. Now press enter. And if I take a listing with ls-lrt, I can see salary.txt file is created. Now we can also cross verify whether the data is properly there or not. So I can just simply give cat and a file name, and yes, data is available in the file. Now what is the next command that we need to run? So let's suppose that if the requirement is that we have three files available called newfile.txt, salary.txt and employee.txt, and I want to copy these files into a certain directory. So all together, all the three files or more than three files, whatever the number of files are, you can copy all the files in one go. So the command will be cp all the file names. Then you need to specify the directory name in which directory you want to copy all the files. Just simply press enter and all the files are copied into the my directory. Now if you go inside the my directory and if we take a listing of the file, we can see salary.txt, newfile.txt and the employee.txt file is available over here, right? So this is the convenient way that if multiple files you want to copy, you can copy multiple files in one go. Now what is the next command? The next command is cp, and I have used an option called -i. -i means if you want a interaction with the Unix system. Now I want to copy all these three files into the my directory, and I also want to interact with the Unix system. The Unix system should be getting a confirmation from me before copying the file. So if I press enter, the Unix system is asking for me that do you really want to copy that newfile.txt? If I press Y, then again it is asking me for the salary.txt. So again, if I want to press Y, and let's suppose that now I do not want to copy employee.txt. So for that I can press N and just simply press enter. So it has copied these two files, that is newfile.txt and salary.txt, and employee.txt it has not copied, right? So this is how you can use that -i option with the cp command. Now what is the next command that we need to see? That is rm command. Rm command we use to remove a file. All right, now let us try to run this command. Now with rm command, the most useful option that you need to use is -i option, because before removing a file, definitely you want to have a final confirmation that whether I want to remove this file or not. So let us just type rm space then -i option, and let's suppose that I want to remove this oracle_1.txt file. Let me just paste that file name. Okay, it is asking me, do you want to remove this file? If I press Y and if I press enter, that file will be removed. Now if I take a listing with ls-lrt, I cannot see that oracle_1.txt file. This is how you can remove a file, but it's always recommended that you use a -i option if you're using an rm command. The next command that we need to see is mv command. What is that mv command? Mv command is a move command. All right, now you can use mv command for two reasons. If you want to rename a file or if you want to move the file from one folder to the other folder. All right, now let's suppose that we have a file called salary.txt and I want to rename this file within the same directory. Then I can use mv, the file name itself, that is salary.txt, and I want to replace or I want to just rename that file. So I can give salary_emp.txt, and if I press enter, that file will be renamed with the salary_emp.txt. Let me take a listing. You can see that file has been renamed with salary_emp.txt. This is the first use case of a mv command. Now let's suppose that I want to move a particular file from this particular directory to the other directory. So what I can do is I can just give mv command the name of the file, and what I can do is I can just give the name of that directory. Now this particular file will be moved to the downloads directory. All right, if I press enter, that particular file has been moved to a download directory. Now let me cross check. See, you can see that file, that salary underscore emp.txt file has been moved inside the download directory. All right. So this is your mv command. This is used for two reasons. Either you want to rename a file, or if you want to move the file from one directory to the other directory, right? Now what is the next command? The next command is wc command. This is also known as word count command. Okay, there are majorly three options used with this command, that is -l, -w and -c. And without option also, you can simply just give the file name as well. So why this command is used? If we want to calculate the number of lines or number of words or the number of characters of the file, then this wc command is used. Let's suppose that if I give wc -l and space and the name of the file, so it will be giving you the number of lines available in this file. In this particular file, there are 3379 lines are available. Now if I want to see the number of words which are used in the file, then what I can do is I can just simply type wc -w and the name of the file. Then you can see these are the number of words which has been used inside the file. Now if I want to count the number of character of the file, how many number of characters are used inside the file, then simply I can give wc -c and the file name. So it will be giving you this many number of characters have been used inside the file. Now without option also, we can use wc command, wc space and the file name. So again it will be giving you the number of lines, it will be giving you the number of words as well, and it will be giving you the number of character also, and it will be giving you the name of the file. So this is how you can use a wc command. Now what is the next command that we have is, we have chmod command. Why we use a chmod command? We use a chmod command to change the permission of the file. All right, let's suppose that I want to execute a file and that particular file doesn't have the execute permission. Then we can use this chmod command to change the permission of the file, and then we can read, write or execute that particular file. All right, now you can see that rw and a dash. What is the meaning of that? Okay, you have to divide this particular section into three segments: rw and then dash, rw then dash, and then r dash dash. R means read, W means write, and this dash means this file doesn't have the execute permission. All right, it is only having read and write permission. Now I want to give that particular file execute permission as well. Now you have to divide this particular line into three segments. This particular three words for the user, this particular three words are used for others, these three particular words are used for the group permission, right? Now let's suppose that for this particular file, I want to give all the permission to all the segment, to user as well, to other as well, and to group as well. And I also want to give read, write and execute permission. Then I have to type chmod and 777 space and the file name. Okay, if I press enter and if I take a listing of the file, then you can see that oracle.txt, every permission is given to that particular file, right? Read, write, execute to the user, read, write, execute to the other, and read, write, execute to the group also. Now that depends which permission you want to give to users and which permission you want to give the others and which permission you want to give the groups, right? Now why I have given 777? These are the octal number by which we can give the permission. Now if I give 3, that means 011. 0 is, that means I'm only giving the write and execute permission, I'm not giving the read permission. But if I give 4, so I will be giving the read permission but not the write and execute permission. And if I give 7, that means 111. 7 means I'm giving all the permission, read, write and execute. So that is why we have given 3 7. This 7 is for user, this 7 is for others, and this 7 is for group. So this is how you can give permission to the file. This is how you can give permission to the file with the help of octal number. Now there is one more way by which you can give permission to the files. by using the alphabets. Now if I type chmod u is equal to r, that means I'm giving a permission to user only, and that to read permission. Now if I type chmod g is equal to rx, that means to group I'm giving read permission and the execute permission. All right. And if I give chmod a is equal to rwx, a means all, that means I'm giving all this permission to the all segments, user also, other also, and group also. All right. Now whatever permission you give to that particular file, the old permissions will be replaced with the new permission. All right. These are the two methods by which you can change the permission of the file. This is with the octal number and this is with the alphabet, right? Now let us change the permission with the alphabet as well. Now if I give chmod and if I only type u is equals to r, that means I'm only giving read permission to users only, others I'm not giving any permission. And if I take the same file name, that is oracle.txt, and if I press enter, now take a listing ls-lrt, see the user permission have been changed. The user now only has the read permission. The user doesn't have the write and execute permission. So this is how you can change the permission. Now what is the next command? The next command is head and tail command. That is also very frequently used command if you want to display the top 3 lines of the file. So you will be using the head command, right? Let us run this command, head head hyphen 5. I want to see the top 5 lines of the file, and if I give the file name employee.txt, so it will only be giving me the top 5 number of rows. Now I want to see the bottom 10 rows of that file, then I'll be using the tail command, tail hyphen 10, and of course the file name. So it is giving me the bottom 10 lines of that file. This is how I can use the head command and the tail command to see the top lines or the bottom line of the file. Now there is one more option available with the tail command, is that tail plus and that number. What is that command? That command means that after the 11th line, every line should be displayed. So I want to see the bottom lines, but specifically or categorically I'm giving a number that the selection of the line should be starting from the 11th line itself. After 11, whatever number of lines are there, all the lines should be displayed, right? So this option is also available in the Unix. So what is the command? Tail plus 11 and the file name itself. So it is giving me all the lines, but the selection is starting from the 11th line only. Okay. After 11th, all the bottom lines, whatever the number of lines are available, it is displaying. This is your head and tail command, right? Now there is one more command, or one of the most important command available in the Unix is mailx command. Now what is that mailx command? Let's suppose that in Unix you have a file, in the Unix system or in the Unix server you have a file, and you want to see that file in the Windows operating system. Then how you are going to send that particular file from Unix system to a Windows system? For that you have to use a mailx command, right? Now how do we use a mailx command? First you need to write the body of the mail by echo command. You can just write the body of the mail inside the inverted quote, please maintain your account, and then you are giving a pipe symbol. All right, so you can consider this particular segment as a body of the mail, and after this pipe symbol you are using a mailx command. Now in the mailx command you have an option called -s. -s means subject line of the mail. So you can write the subject line of the mail, and then you have an option called -a. -a means you are attaching a file. All right, here we are attaching account.txt file. All right, and then you have to specify your mail ID. All right, since I do not have a mail server over here, so will not be able to send the file from here. First a mail server should be attached to your Unix system, then only you will be able to mail from your Unix system to any of the mail ID. So the command will be echo, then the body of the mail, hi, This is Pawan. All right, now you have to give a pipe symbol, then your mailx command. -s is for subject line, so subject is accounts, and then you have to give a -a for the attachment of the file. Now which file I want to send? I want to send employee.txt file. Okay, and then you have to just specify your mail ID. So you can give your mail ID over here. And if you press enter, if you have a mail server attached to your Unix system, then a file will be sent to your mail ID. All right, this is how you can send a mail from a Unix system. Now this is the last command that is also useful, that history command. Now let's suppose that I have a requirement that I want to see what are the last 5 command or what are the last 10 command that we have run. Then we can use the history command. This history command is useful for the admin purpose. If admin wants to check from which user ID what are the last 10 command or what are the last 20 command which has been used, so we can run a history command. Now let us run history, and then I want to see last 10 command that I have used. So these are the last 10 command that we have run over here. All right, I hope you have learned something from this video. If you have liked the video, then hit the like button. Give me feedback in the comment section. Till then, be safe, complete your vaccination, keep learning, keep smiling until we meet again. This is Pawan signing off.